Hey Shooby-Doodlers, how are you doing? Well, on my last video, YouTuber Alf Nederland commented very quickly and they said, would I draw the Plague Doctor? It would be really cool. That's what I'm doing today. I'm going to show you how to draw Dr. Schnabel, the Plague Doctor. But let's not talk about it. Let's do it. This is a slightly bigger drawing than I normally do. And what I'm going to do is say that's going to be kind of the top of my drawing. And then the bottom is going to be about there, leaving room for the feet below, because this is kind of the skirt. So then you want to find the middle point. It's actually more like there, isn't it? And then split that in half again and half again. So we've got kind of 4 quarters. Now here, round about halfway down, we want this nice kind of curve, which is going to be the brim of the hat. And that's going to come up a little bit at the quarters and then be slightly wider in the middle there. Okay, and that's all we're going to worry about at the moment. This is going to be coming down here. This is the back of his neck coming into his shoulder. In fact, I'm going to take this all the way down to just above the bottom line. Start not quite in the middle, but just almost in the middle. I'm going to come down here and come down to the bottom of the beak. And then here I will come there and then come down to do the rest of the beak like that. I'm going to draw his funny kind of glasses in there. Glasses or viewing points, I'm not quite sure. There's an interesting way of drawing eyes. So there's a curve, that's the kind of the eyeball with sort of eyebrow bit above and a little bit there. Now underneath, bit that kind of holds the beak on, I suppose, we want a little curve and another little curve that's going to come around and up like that. Let's draw the rest of the hat, which is going to be curving up there, hook around a little bit, curve and hook around into there. Okay, now we're going to want a little bit of that coming into the shoulder and then sort of down, and then a little bit of a curve, and then a little bit of a curve like that. This is then going to be his sleeve, the cuff of his sleeve. Here I'm just going to draw it like this at the moment. And I'm just going forward a little bit like that. And what I'm going to do now is the thumb, which is going to come out. And he has these really weird pointy fingers. And he's got this stick. Now I think the Plague Doctor's stick was really to just poke people, and because he wouldn't want to touch anybody with evil stuff. Now I'm going to do that in a moment. I'm actually going to zoom in on these hands now, because hands are really, really tricky things to do, and these are a bit weird. So we're going to come down, there's this kind of pointiness. And again, another one there, coming to these long pointy fingers with kind of nails attached. And then we're going to want another one there. And then we can have the little finger kind of pointing out that way. And then we'll have the rest of the hand in there. This can then come up to there. And that bit there as well. Now here we want to have that kind of line coming out there as well, and that will come sort of down to about the same level there. This sort of sleeve coming in here, it doesn't really look like that, but we're going to have a similar kind of thing happening. That's going to come over there, and this is going to come around there like that. And we'll have that coming around a bit there. And I'm going to zoom in on this hand too. So we've got, it comes out slightly like that, and then we want it to kind of point. These evil kind of fingers, aren't they? And then that will come down, and then into this kind of pointiness again, and again into this kind of pointiness. They're pretty creepy fingers. And then this one, we'll have that coming down like that, and up there, and into the hand. And then, you know, you've seen that kind of stitching that you get on gloves. Then we'll do that just like that. Join those bits up there. That's going to come up. And then we'll zoom out into this, because we want these kind of folds in the cloth there as well. In fact, we're going to want to see some folds in the cloth on this side too. Now I'm going to zoom down to the bottom, and what we're going to do is here on the bottom line, then draw a curve, and then this is going to be kind of a fold, and that's going to go up there, and then just slightly above it you want another fold, and you'll see that going behind the fingers there, and then another one. So you want it to stop when it gets to the fingers, and this is sort of coming in like that, and then that will be there. Let's put in the shoes. So he's got very dainty shoes, Dr. Schnabel. Dr. Schnabel actually, I think, apparently means Dr. Beak, so it's not actually his name. And this is taken from a 17th century print of Plague Doctor. And I've been kind of looking up about Plague Doctors. Shoes, look, this is really difficult. You come there and then you want the heel as well. Okay, and so I've been looking up about Plague Doctors. And so you've got proper doctors and then you have Plague Doctors, so anybody could set up as a Plague Doctor if you were fool enough, really. And you weren't really expected to heal anybody and cure them of the plague. You're really there to sort of count the bodies and organise getting them buried quickly. Now the last thing I'm going to zoom in on is the top of the stick here, which in this print has got this rather fabulous, you'll get this kind of egg timer thing going on here, which is obviously to say, you know, your time is running out, I guess. It's a great message. Do you really want to hear that when you're dying of plague? And then he has bat wings attached to it as well, so he's kind of the earliest Batman. So if you go up at a curve like that, and then curve out and curve out, then if you come in and up, in and up like that, and then in and up, and it sort of carries on like that. It's a rather neat way of drawing bat wings. And then while I'm at it, I'm just going to quickly shade this in. And I'm going to do a bit of shading on here, so we're going to want some kind of shading underneath here. He has a kind of a beaky bit, which is probably where most of the air came in. You can open it up to put all the stuff inside, all the stinky stuff that's going to supposedly protect him from evil. I think we're going to want sort of shade underneath the hat here. And again, sort of, this is a kind of a fold kind of shade. The hat's going to want these slightly curving shading lines like this. We might want some shading on the bottom of the beak and underneath there as well. Then we have all these kind of weird folds and things to shade on the sleeves. So shade in these dark areas first, and then you'll get a little bit of shadow playing on the gloves as well. We're going to get some shading around the cuffs like that, which will kind of get thinner as you come in, and you might have a bit more there and a bit more there. You're going to have these kind of folds like that. So I'm doing big, small, and again here that's going to be quite dark. In fact, you can probably make that a bit darker, but then you want a kind of a fold underneath it, shade underneath there. Here again you're going to want these folds being accentuated with shade, and again here you maybe want some more kind of folding shading lines there. This whole sleeve wants to be kind of pretty well shaded from on the inside of the body, so I'm going to do that from this angle, and I think his hat is going to cast quite a shadow as well, and the beak and everything will cast a bit of shadow across there. You're going to get a general kind of shade along this underneath side of the sleeve. Then we have a massive amount of shading to do on all the folds here on his tunic. Now the tunic was actually made of kind of waxed cloth. They had this theory then that disease was sort of spread through miasma, or the bad air. So the whole suit is designed to protect the doctor from the bad air, and it is pretty scary. Can you imagine being in a fever and Mr. Dr. Death comes to see you with his beaky face? It'd be pretty terrifying. We think that we're it's now really civilized, but actually I think if you were suffering from Ebola and you saw sort of guys turning up in suits like this, I think he would be just as terrified. So although we have kind of all modern technology, I think that the basic idea is the same. And in fact, I think Dr. Death probably had the better deal in a way, in that he had all these sort of herbs and spices and stuff inside his beak, so that he got pretty smells. Whereas I think kind of the Ebola doctors, they just got hot and sweaty and stinky, and it must have been awful being an Ebola doctor in those suits. And we want that to come up there. But then we also want extra kind of shading where the sleeve is casting a shadow. And I'm going to add extra shading here as well from the sleeve, and that's going to make the sleeve stand out more as well. Then we can zoom into the shoes, and we want some shading in there, a bit of shadow underneath the ribbons and bows, and then we need some quite sort of serious shading. And then we can finish the whole thing off by having him sort of standing on this heap of death. I really kind of like the way the clouds are done here, so I'm just going to have a quick go at doing that. You can see that they're kind of penciled in. And this is actually an engraving technique rather than a drawing technique, but I'm just sort of having a go at it. And so it's just these kind of lines heading off in this direction. They need to be kind of quite evenly separated. And then as it gets close to the cloud bit, then they kind of break up. And then we're going to have some more bits down here. And then we're going to want something similar on this side as well. Which is sort of okay so far, but this is kind of where it really should start to work. Is where we then kind of build up the shape of the cloud from above, coming down into those little pockets. I'm not quite sure how else to describe them. And then we carry on above. Now the cloud isn't just there to be a cloud, it also serves the purpose of kind of making things stand out a bit more. So this is now helping to make this sort of white part of the beak stand out more against the background. I don't think I'm terribly steady with my lines. I know some people probably feel they're even less steady and less able to keep the lines steady, straight, parallel, or even sort of the same distance apart. So how do you do that? Well, it's just practice, actually. And it's doing it every single day. It's these kind of little exercises, which it's like a pianist, you know, they do scales. Calmly drawing lines every day. Sounds a bit boring, but it will, in the end, train your hand to be able to do it. And, you know, you think that a musician, you know, when you watch a pianist, you think, oh my goodness, how on earth do they do that? Well, a lot of it is it's just practice, and it's not a brain thing. It's about learning to let go and letting your hand just do it rather than having to think about it. Once you start thinking about it, that's when it all goes a little bit wobbly. And I think, you know, when you watch a great pianist at work, they're just away, aren't they? And they're doing all these weird things, shaking their heads around and everything. It's because they're on another planet, literally. They're not having to think about where they're putting their hands. And I think that goes the same with being able to draw. If you just do all those exercises and train your hand so that when you think, oh, there's a shape, you know, your hand just draws it, and you don't have to really think about it. And when you can do that, then you can spend all your time thinking about the composition and the ideas and everything else about it. Let your hand do the actual drawing, and it's kind of a, you know, deeper part of the brain that takes over. What am I trying to do here? I've not done these kind of clouds here before. This is a complete experiment. And again, there's other things like, you know, that sometimes I start flicking and going too fast, and then you lose control. I'm a very flicky, hurried, want to get on with it kind of drawer. Again, it's just practice and self-control, trying to calm down and not to go too fast. I've forgotten that we need, in the background here, we need to have the back of the brim, can't we? And that can go really, really dark. And that can just be black, so it doesn't matter like that. Actually, I might bring that more around and make it more curved. Yeah, I think that looks better, a bit more curved. There you go. How to draw Dr. Schnabel von Rome.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, click here and go and learn how to draw mountains like Albrecht Dürer. That was the video that Alf Niederlander watched and commented on. Or maybe you could click here and do the mystery drawing. Whatever you do, make sure you click up here and subscribe to the Shoo Rayner drawing channel for lots more drawing videos every week. And in the meantime, make sure you practice. Keep drawing, and I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye-bye.